I never thought I'd hear those words from someone I once welcomed into my home like my own son. It was a cold Tuesday evening in November, the kind where the wind howls through the bare branches outside my kitchen window in suburban Chicago. I was standing there, my hands raw from scrubbing the counters, when Mike, my son-in-law, stormed in, his face twisted in that familiar scowl. I'd just asked him, quietly, if he could help fix the leaky faucet I'd been nagging about for weeks. He slammed his briefcase down, looked me dead in the eye, and snarled, "Just suck it up now, Eleanor. We're not your servants." The words hit like a slap, echoing in the empty room. My heart stuttered, and for a moment the world blurred, the steam from the kettle rising like my unshed tears. How had it come to this? A lifetime of giving, reduced to that cruel dismissal. But that moment, sharp as a knife's edge, cracked something open inside me. It was the beginning of the end, the spark that ignited my quiet rebellion. And as I tell you this, dear listener, know that it's not just my story. It's a warning wrapped in pain, a tale of love turned sour, and the fierce reclaiming of a soul too long silenced. Stick with me. By the end, you'll see how betrayal can forge unbreakable strength. The days blurred together after that, each one a quiet ritual in my little bungalow on Elm Street. I'd wake before dawn, the floorboards creaking under my slippers, cold as the frost-etching patterns on the window panes. The smell of fresh coffee brewing would fill the air, bitter and comforting, as I shuffled to the kitchen to prepare breakfast no one else would eat. Laundry was my morning companion, folding Sarah's old baby blankets I'd kept in the attic, the fabric soft and worn, carrying the faint scent of lavender detergent. I'd hang them on the line in the backyard, even in winter, watching the snowflakes settle like forgotten promises. Gardening came next, my knees aching as I knelt in the frozen soil, pruning the rose bushes I'd planted when Sarah was born. Their thorns pricked my fingers, drawing tiny beads of blood, a reminder that beauty often hides pain. Lunch was simple, slicing apples from the market, their crisp snap echoing in the silent house, or stirring soup on the stove, the steam warming my face while the radio played old jazz tunes, melancholic saxophones filling the void where laughter used to be. But oh, the memories, they flooded back unbidden during those chores, pulling me into the past like a gentle tide. I remembered the day Sarah came home from college, her eyes bright with dreams, and how I'd scraped together every penny from my widow's pension to pay her tuition. "Mom, you're my rock," she'd said then, hugging me tight, her hair smelling of cherry shampoo. I sold my late husband's watch, a gold heirloom with a scratched face, to cover her books that semester. And when she met Mike, that charming salesman with his easy smile, I opened my doors wide. They moved in with me after the wedding, my spare room becoming their haven while they saved for a house. I cooked dinners every night, roast chicken with rosemary, the aroma wafting through the halls, ironed his shirts until they were crisp as new bills, babysat their dog when they traveled. Money flowed from my hands like water. A down payment loan for their first car, a check for Mike's business startup that never quite took off. "We'll pay you back, Eleanor," he'd promised, his voice smooth as silk. "Tomorrow," he said. Tomorrow never came. Tomorrow never came. I gave and gave, my heart swelling with the warmth of family, believing love was an endless well. Yet, as the years ticked by, the warmth faded, replaced by a chilling entitlement that crept in like fog over Lake Michigan. Sarah grew distant, her calls shorter, her visits rarer. "We're busy, Mom," she'd say, her tone clipped, as if my existence was an inconvenience. Mike was worse, his words sharpened over time, laced with manipulation. Once, when I mentioned the loan during dinner, he leaned back in his chair, fork clinking against the plate, and smirked. "You offered it, didn't you? Family helps family. Gaslighting, they call it now. Back then, it just felt like my reality twisting. They'd forget my birthday, but expect me to host Thanksgiving, my table groaning under turkey and pies I'd baked from scratch, only for them to complain about the gravy being too salty. The in-laws joined in, Mike's mother, with her pursed lips, whispering about how I was clinging too much. Disrespect piled up like unpaid bills. Doors slammed in my face, my advice dismissed with eye rolls. And that faucet? It dripped endlessly, a constant reminder of their indifference, while they remodeled their own home with granite counters I'd indirectly funded. The pain gnawed at me, a deep ache in my chest that no amount of chamomile tea could soothe. Nostalgia warred with heartbreak. How could the child I'd rocked through fevers now treat me like a burden? Wisdom whispered that I'd enabled it, my sacrifices unappreciated, turning love into a weapon they wielded against me. Loneliness wrapped around me like a heavy quilt, but beneath it, a spark of dignity flickered. That night after Mike's cruel words, I sat in my armchair, the worn leather creaking under me, staring at the family photo on the mantel. A necklace I'd given Sarah on her wedding day glinting in the frame, symbolizing the love I'd poured out. It was broken now, that bond, like the porcelain bowl I'd dropped earlier, shards scattering across the tile floor. Enough, my mind echoed. Enough. The turning point came quietly, in the hush of midnight. I realized their selfishness wasn't my fault, it was their choice. Calm washed over me, clear as spring water, decisive as locking a door. No more. Silent revenge unfolded in the days that followed, powerful in its subtlety. I called my lawyer, an old friend named Harold, and revised my will, removing Sarah and Mike entirely, leaving everything to a charity for abandoned elders. The papers rustled in my hands, crisp and final, as I signed. Next, I canceled the automatic transfers from my bank account, the little helps they'd come to expect. I changed the locks on my doors, the new keys cold and shiny in my palm, symbols of reclaimed control. My house, once their safety net, became my sanctuary again. I even packed up their forgotten belongings, Mike's old tools, Sarah's childhood toys, and shipped them without a note. These actions shocked even me, but they felt justified, a quiet justice for years of taken-for-granted love. The climax erupted 2 weeks later, on a stormy afternoon. Rain pelted the windows like accusations as Mike pounded on the door, Sarah trailing behind, her face pale. "What the hell, Eleanor?" he bellowed when I let them in, his voice booming over the thunder. "You cut off the money? Change the will? You're being dramatic. Suck it up and fix this." Sarah chimed in, tears streaking her makeup, blame shifting like always. "Mom, how could you? After all we've done, we need that support." Begging turned to gaslighting. "You're just lonely and bitter. Think of the family." I stood there, my back straight for the first time in years, the scent of fresh-baked cookies I'd made for myself wafting from the kitchen. A treat no longer shared. My response was short, cold, dignified. "You've taken enough. This is my piece now. Leave." Their anger flared, but I didn't waver, ushering them out into the downpour, the door clicking shut like a period at the end of a long sentence. In the resolution of it all, peace settled over me like a warm sunrise after an endless night. I watched from the window as their car sped away, the taillights fading into the gray. The house felt lighter, emptier but freer, an empty chair at the table symbolizing the space I'd reclaimed for myself. I walked to the garden, the ocean waves of Lake Michigan audible in the distance, crashing with rhythmic assurance. Flowers I'd neglected began to bloom again under my care, petals unfurling like my rediscovered independence. Folders of papers, my new plans for travel, classes, friends, sat on the desk, symbols of a life reborn. The pain lingers, a scar on my heart, but it's overshadowed by empowerment. I've learned that dignity isn't given, it's guarded with boundaries. Letting go isn't defeat, it's karma's gentle hand, restoring balance. To anyone listening, remember, sacrifice without appreciation is theft of the soul. Reclaim yours before it's too late. Live with the wisdom of waves that ebb and flow, but always return to shore.